Hi everyone, I hope everyone is doing really well. So today is the Constitution Day. Today is 26th November and 26th November 1949. We had adopted our constitution and later in 26th January 1950, it will come in enforcement, it will come in force. So today we celebrate the Constitution Day. We'll talk about a little bit about facts about Constitution and about Constitution Day, and then we have plethora of news which we need to cover. And today's The Hindu was fortunately a lot with very good news in terms of covering for an UPSC aspirant. We'll be covering that. So before we move forward, let's move to thought for the day. And today we'll be taking the thought for the day from the great, the father of the Constitution, late B.R. Ambedkar Sir, and what he said. He said, cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of human existence. That basically means the cultivation of mind, that means the knowledge given to your mind. Obviously, this quote has, very deep meanings. You can go different analysis. There are different facets. And obviously, this is said by none other than the father of the Constitution, B.R. Ambedkar Sir. So in that terms, it means cultivation of your mind in terms of knowledge, how you grow your mind. And if your mind is not cultivating, if you are not using your mind, be it in terms of science and technology, mathematics, STEM, or in terms of arts, or whichever field you are working on, if you're not using your mind, if you're not cultivating your mind, or if you're not growing, so change is the only thing which is constant in nature. And obviously over a period of time you need to improve, you need to change, you need to adopt to new technologies. So cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of human existence. For example, from today we are in the age of artificial intelligence, and 50 years from now more technologies will come. It can be good, bad and ugly, and focus should be on good technologies, how we can use technologies in a better way, how society can progress in a better way, how more rights can be given to women, and how parity can be achieved in the sexes, both the sexes. Okay, so how parity can come, or both the sexes plus the other sexes which we talk about today. So the parity should come, more openness should come, more liberal thought should come. So at the end of the day, cultivation of mind has multiple facets, as it is said by one of the greats of the Constitution, rather the greatest of all has said this. So with this positive thought, let's move to today's news. And good morning to everyone on 26th November. Welcome to the session. Please like the session, share the session, press the bell icon, and you will get the PDF. If not uploaded right now, later you will get the link in the description which you can download the PDF. Okay, so now moving on further. So today the news which we would be covering: President to address the Parliament to mark 75 years of the Constitution. In UPSC prelims or MCQ impact, Constitution Day, Supreme Court upholds secular socialist in preamble of the Constitution. So this was basically the petition was put by the BJP MP Subramaniam Swamy, and then what Supreme Court has said, we'll decode that. Bhutan pitches Galifu as the biggest cooperative project. What are cooperative? Like Amul is the one of the example of a cooperative. So we'll understand that. Then editorial, the feminist ideology in India's constitution and discourse. So we always talk about father of the Constitution, how male, it is more of a patriarchy in the Constitution, how we never talk about the contribution of mothers to the Constitution. So we'll talk about the parity also needs to be achieved in the Constitution in terms of contribution of female, contribution of women, and contribution of mothers. So we'll talk about, it's a wonderful editorial, and I expect that this kind of a question can come in UPSC mains also. Then we have today multiple schemes have been launched, so we'll cover that in tidbits. And there is a wonderful announcement for whoever wants to enroll in the Insights IAS course from the point of view of scholarship. We'll also talk about that. And then your standard question and answers and extra mile. So there are certain news which I would want you to cover. One is related to UK. It's something to Asia Pacific, the minister has said. And second, what is happening in the Pakistan. Since we had a stipulated time, I would not be able to cover those two particular news. What is Imran Khan and his party, Pakistan Tehreek, which is doing, PTI, which is, Pakistan Tehreek Insaf, if I'm correct. That is Imran Khan party, and they are doing huge processions in Pakistan, and it is creating a lot of problem for the Islamabad and the current government. Please read about it and what UK minister has said in terms of India and Asia Pacific. These are two international news which I would want to give you as a homework, and you should complete it, because in this particular 1 hour it would be very difficult to cover those, because a lot of news are already there. So President to address Parliament to mark the 75 years of the Constitution. So President, she addressed yesterday on 25th November on a special session of Parliament. She addressed a special session of Parliament, Central Hall of the old Parliament building, to mark the 75 years of the Constitution. Prime Minister, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankad and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla were also attended the celebration. So this is just the fact, that the celebration happened. More important for us is about the Constitution Day and the facts related to it. So Constitution Day is also known as National Law Day, or it is also known as Samvidhan Divas. Okay, so in Hindi it is known as Samvidhan Divas, it is also known as Constitution Day, and it is also known as National Law Day, and it is celebrated on 26th November every year to commemorate the adoption of Constitution of India. So we adopted our Constitution on 26th November 1949, and 26th January 1950 it will come into force. On 29th August 1947, the drafting committee was made, which was headed by B.R. Ambedkar Sir, and which drafted the Constitution. Okay, so it was headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. My apologies that I did not use it. So on 26th November 1949, the Constitution was adopted, which came into effect on force on 26 January 1950. One more important fact is that Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment on 19th November 2015, they had suggested or notified the decision of Government of India to celebrate 26th November as Constitution Day. So please remember, this notification came in 2015. The notification came in 2015. Prior to 2015, we were not celebrating 26th November as the Constitution Day. We were not celebrating that. It's after this notification that we started celebrating, and it came from which ministry? Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Very, very important. The day is observed to spread the importance of Constitution, constitutional ideas, thought process, and what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has said. All this, his thought process, his thinking, the ideas of our Constitution, the facets of our Constitution, we celebrate and we talk about this. And he was the chief architect of the Constitution. Many times this particular fact has also been asked, who is the father of the Constitution, who is the chief architect of the Constitution? It is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Sir. Okay. Now, key facts about our Constitution. I am 100% sure if you've gone to any standard polity book, you must have gone through these facts. So we are just revising it, and we'll also complete around 3 questions which I have, which have also come in UPSC prelims, and they are very good questions, which I think 2 were in 2023 and 1 was in 2022. We'll cover those prelims question also. So Constitution of India is the longest written constitution of a sovereign country. Originally, the Constitution was written in English and Hindi. So originally English and Hindi, and it is the longest written constitution of a sovereign country. It was handwritten by Prem Bihari Narayan Rajda in the calligraphy font. Again, an important fact. So these are standard facts. Handwritten by Prem Bihari Narayan Rajda in calligraphy font, and each page was decorated by artist for Shanti Niketan under the guidance of Nandlal Bose. So it was handwritten by Prem Bihari Narayan Rajda in calligraphy font. Each page was decorated by artists from Shanti Niketan under the guidance of Nandlal Bose. It took over 2 years, more than 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to frame the Constitution, which we got in 1949. Basic structure of the Constitution has been taken from the Government of India Act 1935. Rather, many laws, many clauses have straight away been taken from the Government of India Act 1935. Constitution of India declares that India is a sovereign country, socialist, secular, and democratic. Some of these principles, which were added to preamble, they came into after the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, and we'll also talk about that news, because that is the second news which we would be discussing today. So, and assure citizens justice, equality, liberty, endeavors to promote fraternity. And our constitution has borrowed a lot of features from from the American Constitution, from the French Constitution, a lot of borrowed ideas. The best ideas which were available at that point of time, we had taken them. So Constitution of India was drafted by a committee of 7 members headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He is also known as the father of Indian Constitution. So some of the borrowed features came from US Constitution, the American, UK, Irish. UK, obviously we took the Government of India Act 1935. Obviously that was in India only, under the British Raj. French Constitution, Canadian Constitution, Australian Constitution, and Japanese Constitution. So these are certain facts, which you will find this picture which I have taken. You will find this picture in Lakshmikant or any of the books. So in British Constitution, we have taken parliamentary form of government, rule of law, lawmaking procedures, single citizenship, institution of speaker, doctrine of pleasure, tenure of civil servants, and Government of India Act, Office of the Governor, powers of the federal jury, Soviet Constitution, 5-year plans, Weimar Constitution. Weimar is your Germany, okay, that is emergency provisions, and the Canadian Constitution, federal system, American Constitution, judicial system, fundamental rights came from the American Constitution, so on and so forth. You can pause the slide, you can see, read in the PDF in detail. Okay, now let's move to question. What was the exact constitutional status of India on 26th January 1950? This is the MCQ question. Rather, this is a PYQ which came in 2021 UPSC prelims. It was a democratic republic, sovereign democratic republic, sovereign secular democratic republic, or it was a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic. The important point is, what was it in 1950? So the words which were added in 42nd constitutional amendment, that cannot be what happened in 1950. So the answer to this question is B. Answer is B. The Constituent Assembly adopted on 26 November 1949, and then it comes into enforcement. It comes into force by 1950. That is 26 January 1950. At that point of time, we were just sovereign democratic republic. These words which you talk about, socialist and secular, they were added to the preamble by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. So that is something you need to remember. So you generally think that that socialist and secular, that was also added. No, they came later. So that is the catch in this question. Second is, which one of the following statement best reflects the chief purpose of constitution of a country? This was a wonderful question which came in 2023. What is the purpose of the constitution? It determines the objective for making of the necessary law. It enables the creation of political offices and government. It defines and limits the powers of the government. It secures social justice, social equality, and social security. So these were the 4 options which had come. What do you think? What is the answer? Yes, correct. C is the answer to this question. Many people got confused and they had put the answer D out here, but it is the C, because your constitution talks about what government can do and what are the individual rights. That means your fundamental rights. So let's come to the answer. Chief purpose of constitution is to establish fundamental principle, structure, functions of the government. That means what government can do, and to define the right and freedoms of individual within the country. So when you get the rights and freedom, the rights and the freedom of individuals, that would be limiting the power of the government. So what government can do and what government cannot do. And coming back to the same MCQ, it said defines the limits, it defines and limits the power of government. That means what they can do and what they cannot enter, what they cannot infringe. That means what are the functions they can do, and on the other side, fundamental rights give the power to the individual liberty and so on and so forth. Okay, rest I have added, you can go through this. Next question. Consider the following statement in respect of Constitution Day 2023. The Constitution Day is celebrated on 26th November every year to promote constitutional values among citizens. Correct statement. On 26th November 1949, Constituent Assembly of India set up a drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to prepare a draft Constitution of India. See, if this is correct, how would this, okay, they have not added a date out here, but this is not 26th November 1949, that was happening in August 1947. Drafting committee was made much prior to, much more than 2 years before the constitution was adopted. Okay, then only you will get the constitution. So in this question, they deliberately did not add the date, because if they would have added the date, correct date, you would have obviously got to know that the statement 2 is incorrect. So it was on 29th August 1947, Constituent Assembly set up a drafting committee. 7 members were therein under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to prepare the draft constitution for India. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone. Clear? Okay. Now let's go to the next news. So it's Constitution Day. We have a lot of news of Constitution today. Though there was a lot of international news, but today we are trying to do that less, because since Constitution Day we are celebrating more of the polity news today. So secular socialist to stay in Constitution preamble, says Supreme Court. Now this is such an irony that it is 26th November and this news also comes on 26th November. Don't you think this is an irony? It is coming on Constitution Day, and even after 75 years we are still debating that if secular socialist should be part of constitution. So this, you can say, this is the beauty of the constitution, this is the beauty of judiciary, that we are ready to debate, we are ready to discuss. The cases still go to the Supreme Court to discuss, and this also, you know, puts our belief again, as said by the, you know, the forefathers of the constitution, that constitution is something which is living in nature. It is constantly evolving in nature, and that is why so many amendments also come to the constitution, because as and when with time the constitution also changes, as the values and ethos of society will also change. Okay, now on this news, the Supreme Court has said that it has upheld the inclusion of the terms secular and socialist in the preamble of the Indian Constitution, affirming that these terms aligns with fundamental principles and evolving interpretation. When you read this news, you feel that you've gone to some of the prior cases, that Keshav Nath and all these cases, some previous cases which we read in Lakshmikant, which are standard cases to be read. But this is a 2024 news, and this decision was taken by the current CJI, that is Justice Khanna, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, and Justice Sanjay Kumar. Oh, my name has also come, but I am not justice anyway. So delivered to the judgment. Now I'll remember this. Okay, with you guys. So affirming that these aligns with the fundamental principles. So ruling addressed a batch of petition filed in 2020. So petition was filed in 2020. Petition basically said, so let's come to the petition what, and petition was filed none other than BJP leader. He was an ex-MP also, the MP also, the Subramaniam Swamy. And what basically it said that, see, socialist and secular, when the constitution came in 26th November 1949, when we were adopting it, at that time these two words were not there. So Subramaniam Swamy in his petition was saying that this was a fraud on the constitution, as was it applied from the date of adoption, November 26, 1949. So he said that under 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, when this act came, constitutional amendment happens, they add, under the Indira Gandhi government, they add these words socialist and secular, and they append the the preamble. So these two words were added retrospectively. That means now these two words would be taken from 1949, 26 November 1949. So he is basically saying that how Indira Gandhi or her government has power to go back in the past, and think that that time the constitution makers would have also adopted. That was majorly his contention, because what he said that it contravened, it breached the intent of Constituent Assembly at that point of time. I'm talking 1949, which deliberately omitted secular and socialist from the original text. This is not what I am saying. This is Subramaniam Swamy, and his petition said that these words were not part of the original constitution, and Constituent Assembly had omitted or deleted or erased these words. Okay, that's what is. So when these words were not part of the original constitution, how does Indira Gandhi add it? And even if she has added it, how can she say that this or her government can say that this would be retrospective? That means it would be affected from 1949, when the Constituent Assembly was itself against it. You guys understood what they were doing? Okay. Now in this context, he said this is a fraud on the constitution, as it was applied retrospectively, it contravened, it breached, and it restricted the economic policy choices of democratically elected governments. So 2 points you have understood. Third point is said, so when secular you understand, when you say socialist, that means you need to have socialist principles. So he says when you put this word socialist, be any central government or be any state government, they have to deliberately now do socialist policies even if they want to do capitalist policies. So economic policies choice of democratically elected governments would be reduced because the preamble would be talking about it, because socialist thought process, socialism. So recently there was a view by Justice Sanjeev Khanna, in which he also spoke about that today's socialism does not say that the private companies cannot come. I think 2 days before that article had come, in which he had spoken about that socialism does not mean that the private entities or private companies cannot work, and our socialism over a period of time has evolved. Our socialism talks about social and economic benefits, more schemes for the downtrodden or people in poverty or absolute poverty, and inclusive development. It does not mean that the private or the capitalist companies, they cannot work. Okay. So we had given that statement. If you remember, in Daily Decodes, I had told you that please complete this article. It was an extra mile. I think it was 2 days back, if I'm correct, last week. So preamble is an inalienable part of the constitution. Parliament has the power to amend the constitution under Article 368, extends to the preamble even retrospectively. So that's what Supreme Court said, that the parliament has the power under Article 368 to change the constitution or to amend the constitution. Obviously the basic structure cannot be destroyed or cannot be challenged. I've covered basic structure or the doctrine of basic structure in Daily Decodes a lot. You can go in previous lectures and look for them. So Supreme Court observation, it proves again that the Article 368 gives the power to the Parliament to amend the Constitution, and also gives the power to the Parliament that they can amend the Constitution and put it retrospectively. That means what? When they said it is from the adoption of the Constitution, it will be accepted. The petition lacked merit and raised questions about motives of challenging a 40-year or 44-year-old amendments. That's what was said by Supreme Court. So constitutional interpretation by Supreme Court: secularism in Indian context, ensure equal respect for all religion, supporting any religion, penalizing religious practices or profession. So prohibits the states from supporting any religion. States does not support any religion, and state will not penalize any religious practice or profession. And Article 14, 15 and 16 safeguards secularism by prohibiting religious discrimination and ensuring equal protection and opportunity. Obviously in these articles there are certain exceptions which for the in terms of reservation, etc. Now socialism in the Indian context focuses on eliminating exploitation and ensuring equality of opportunity, that everyone should get an opportunity, and it eliminates exploitation. Court clarified that the term does not mandate a specific economic model, which might be in Russia, which might be in China, which any of the socialist country or the communist country adopted. Though in the context of China, China only talks about communist or socialist, but in reality their economy is very much capitalistic in nature. If you go read and dig deep in China, Chinese economy, specifically after the coming of Deng Xiaoping, you will understand what they did. So it allows a mixed economy where both public and private sectors coexist. So this was the definition which was given by Supreme Court, and Justice Khanna also added statements. Evolving nature of the constitution, I told you, I just started with the class, that our constitution is constantly changing. It's a living document that adopts a contemporary needs and realities, and this can also become a UPSC mains question. A statement will come, constitution is a living document that adopts to contemporary needs and realities, and then it will come elucidate. Explanation. Can this question come? Obviously this question can come, right? The court heightened that over time, India has developed its own interpretation of secularism, which is now a basic feature of the constitution. So key implication, what were the key implication of the judgment? First of all, the socialist and secular, they are part of the preamble. The parliament has the power to amend the constitution under Article 368. The judgment strengthened the basic structure doctrine, ensuring the preamble aligns with the evolving societal goals, and constitution is a living document which keeps on evolving as per the society needs. Okay. So just to add to you a little bit of factual information, Subramaniam Swamy was also Union Minister of Commerce and Industry. So he's now a former minister. So just former member of Law and Justice of India was also there. So just giving you a little bit of political context that he was earlier, he was a former minister. Okay. So inclusion of secular and socialist in the preamble of the constitution reflects the evolving socio-political ethos of India. Discuss, so you can obviously use this. Next important news is coming from Bhutan, pitches Gelifu as the biggest cooperative project. So the Prime Minister Modi inaugurates the first international globe cooperative conference. It happened in Delhi, and the Bhutan PM Shering Tobge was here, and he was talking about his Gelifu as the biggest cooperative project, and he's looking for investment, and most of the investment or some major part of the investment should come from Adani. The Bhutan did not give any statement regarding Adani because the indictment cases are going, or indictment has been put in US against the Adanis, and some shares had fallen. Sri Lanka is also thinking about, and they are revisiting the projects with Adani, but Bhutan has not given any categorical statement as such. So if you see, this would be the Gelifu mindfulness city, which you see, which would be made. Okay, so these are designs right now. The real picture, once the project starts, we'll get more clarity. So it shows that city is designed among the rivers and streams that follow through it. And this would be the exterior of Gelifu planned healthcare center. So this would be the healthcare center which they would be making. And then they are planning Sankosh temple, which elevated temple in the middle, which you see. Okay, then they are also planning this rendering of Vajrayana bridge, which keeps animal corridors in places of ground level. So the design looks very, very promising. Then you have, they would be using local materials such as wood, stone and bamboo according to the city's master plan. So this is Gelifu Mindfulness City, which Bhutan wants to make, and they are looking for investments from India. So India inaugurates Global Cooperative Alliance. Bhutan promotes Gelifu as a major cooperative project and looking for major investments from India. So Prime Minister Modi and Bhutanese Prime Minister Shering Tobge jointly inaugurated International Cooperative Alliance Global Cooperative Conference 2024 in New Delhi. The event highlighted India's cooperative movement and Bhutan's ambitious Gelifu Mindfulness City, a zero carbon smart city. So obviously Bhutan is also, if I'm correct, one of the most happiest country also. The environment is very good, environment is very clean. It's a wonderful city. It has very good diplomatic relations with India. When it comes to security of Bhutan, India sees that Bhutan security. And if you remember the Doklam crisis, at that point of time, India was there at that point of time also. Okay, with Bhutan. So event highlighted India's cooperative movement and Bhutan ambitious Gelifu Mindfulness City. It is the biggest cooperative project in Bhutan. And this marks PM Tobge's fourth visit to India in 2024. Now, why is this continuous visits happening? And the Bhutanese king has also asked for these investment because they require this amount of investment, because once this project starts, it will also help in a lot of job creation and economic development of Bhutan. Okay. So in that context, Bhutan is a landlocked country. In this context, more development should come, more economic development should come, more projects should come. And you also need to realize that if India is not helping, then China is always sitting with throwing, $1 billion. And when China invests, it not only invests, it also takes some part of that country, and it also interferes in the economic and interior policies of that government. So we have seen the example of Pakistan, we have seen example of Sri Lanka and many other countries in the world under the BRI project or the CPEC project. So in this context, as India follows neighborhood first policy, we have seen that how the development, how the diplomatic relationship between India and Maldives have changed. So Maldives was India out, but within 6 months, 8 months or 1 year, the entire thing has changed. Mohammad Muzu was in the Indian power corridors for asking for money. He got the line of credit. And similarly, not exactly similarly, but Bhutan, we have a very good relationship. And right now, we are trying to make a good relationship. We used to have a good relationship with Nepal. But after the economic blockade which happened between India and Nepal, which India did, the relationship is not same, and today Nepal is sitting in the lap of China. So we would want that the India-Bhutan relationship is strengthened rather than becoming weak, and we should invest in that country in terms of this project so that more cohesiveness can be attained. Okay, because you can never choose your neighbors, and that is why you've got neighbors like Pakistan and China. So most of our neighbors, many of our neighbors too, we've got arch rivals. Whatever are good with us, we need to maintain this. So this also focus, Bhutan's strategic focus on economic collaboration with India. So what is cooperative? Since it's a cooperative mindfulness project, so these are example of cooperative. It is Amul, Goa Dairy, Mother Dairy, Milcon, Mahanand, Nandini, Sudha, Saras, Milma. Saras is in Rajasthan, Mother Dairy is in Delhi, if I'm correct, Nandini is in South. Right, so these are all examples of cooperative. So a MCQ of a cooperative can also come. Okay. So they are people-centered enterprise owned, controlled and run by and for their members to realize it has a common economic, social, cultural needs and aspiration. So they are basically people-controlled, people-centered enterprise owned, controlled and run by these people. Focus is on economic, social and cultural needs. India has one of the world's largest cooperatives. We have more than 8 lakh cooperatives. So that means we have a good exposure, and that means we have a very good know-how how cooperative works and how to establish cooperatives. Obviously, Bhutan would want to take help in this also, because we have already have successful cooperatives in the country, which includes the likes of Amul also. Now, Gelfu Mindfulness City. So Bhutanese Prime Minister Shering Tobge promoted the upcoming Gelfu Mindfulness City, which would be spanning 2,500 square kilometers, a zero carbon smart city. So a smart city and zero carbon. So in terms of climate change, in terms of global greenhouse gas emission, global warming, it is tick marking everything from the carbon point of view, and even from the point of view that it in the climate change point of view, and what we cannot achieve in COP29 in terms of money, budget or controlling the GHGs, but at least Bhutan is coming with a wonderful idea. City is envisioned as a hub of knowledge, technology, finance, emphasizing mindfulness, sustainability and harmony. And once this city becomes, once it is actually comes off the ground, I am 100% sure that the maximum people, the tourists who would be visiting this mindfulness city, the Gelfu city, would be Indians. I can give you guarantee on this, because if the project gets completed with India's help, I personally feel that if the Prime Minister is still there, the Prime Minister Modi is still the Prime Minister, or if any of the new Prime Minister comes and this project gets completed by the help of India, our Prime Minister would definitely be inaugurating or would be present at inauguration. At least this should be done. Bhutan aims to involve every citizen as both shareholder and stakeholder in cooperative initiatives. So in cooperative, every person is a shareholder, and that is why Bhutan is also talking about involve every citizen. So they will get a job, they will be involvement, they'll feel that they are also shareholders in this particular project. So India's support, project seeks India's private sector investment, and I think the investment will come more or less a lot of investment in terms of infrastructure, hospitality, education, IT, wellness center. We have done this tremendously. So they would be looking from know-how from our companies and businesses, how they can help. Bhutanese King Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk had previously visited India, and he was also asking for collaboration specifically in terms of this projects. And he spoke with major Indian companies, Adani Group, for solar and hydropower projects also. If you remember that now the Bangladesh has to pay around $1 million bill for electricity, which they have not paid. So now we are rerouting electricity also for them. So PM emphasized the importance of cooperatives in addressing global challenges. Cooperatives are very important in terms of climate resilient cooperatives and circular economy, 8 lakh cooperatives, which we have covered. Now, Home Minister also did something, and he has spoken something about called PACS, and this becomes a very important prelims question. What is PACS? PACS stand for Primary Agricultural Credit Societies. Primary Agricultural Credit Society. The word important is credit. Credit means they would be giving some kind of loan or some kind of money. Obviously, it's primary in nature, so the amount cannot be very high. So they are village level cooperatives. credit societies that serve as the last link in a three-tier cooperative credit structure. So what SBI Bank can give, obviously these credit societies, it is at a primary level. So for example, hypothetically, if SBI can give say 1,000 rupees, they can give 50 to 100 rupees. Obviously these two are hypothetical numbers. This is just to explain it to you. Okay. And why are they being created? So that the farmers and people who need these funds, they don't go to money lenders who exploit them. Okay, headed by the State Cooperative Bank at state level, the first PAX was formed in 1904. When was it formed? 1904, before independence. So first PAC was formed 1904. So Home Minister has announced the government vision of prosperity through cooperation, targeting the establishment of 2 lakh new primary agricultural credit societies which can give the credit at the base level. So good and positive news, assured that no village panchayat in India would lack a cooperative society. So again, why are they talking about cooperative society? They are talking about devolution of power. They are talking about people will become shareholders in this cooperatives, and they will feel that this company belongs, or this cooperative belongs to me, and I also am a shareholder. So this card refers to modernized PACs and tech-enabled and economically viable. So controversy surrounding the Adani Group I've covered, and regional repercussions, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Obviously Bangladesh might even cancel the deal, but they have to pay a bill of Adani's. So let's see what happens. So question, Gelefu Mindfulness City project showcases Bhutan vision of combining sustainability with cooperative values. Discuss the significance for India-Bhutan relation in the context of regional cooperation and economic partnership. So a lot of information is there. You can write an answer. Let's go. Before we move to the editorial, there's some important news. So scholarship test is happening at Insights IAS. This would be for OGP 2026. The test date is 1st December 2024, and the mode would be offline and online. And OGP is your offline online guidance program, integrated foundation program for UPSC CSE at 2026 at Bangalore. If you want to register for it, and you should definitely register for it because you would be getting scholarship, just scan this QR code and you will get all the details related for this scholarship. If you come in the first rank to 5th rank, you will get 100% scholarship for OGP 2026. So I would definitely be recommending you that you should join it, give the test. Invariably what your rank comes, if you're on the top, obviously you will get the discount also, and you will become a part of a wonderful program which will enhance your preparation for coming civil services examination. And second important, even if you're not able to complete, come in these top ranks, most importantly you would get the top MCQ question which would enhance your preparation. Now 6 to 100 ranks you will get 20% scholarship, and 100 to 200 ranks 15% scholarship. That means from first rank to 200 ranks you are getting something. The scholarship test follows UPSC CSE prelims pattern of 100 MCQ written, 100 MCQ with negative marks would be there. So you can sit in this examination, and even whatever level of preparation you are, I would definitely recommend you please sit for this examination. Scan this QR code for all the details, and there is up to 100% scholarship which you can see. One more important news is that the anthropology optional classes for the batch 2025, batch 2 2025 is starting from 2nd December 2024. The mode is online and offline, so whichever way you want to start your preparation, you can do it. The syllabus would be covered in 100 classes, 2.5 hours each. Systematic and comprehensive coverage of syllabus, online, offline. Offline it is in Bangalore, and it would be done by none other than Dr. Arjun Bopanna. He is the faculty for Insights IAS, a top faculty, Dr. Arjun Bopanna Sir, for anthropology optional. And for every detail, you can also scan this QR code. You can scan this QR code, and the fees is right now at discounted price of 31,500, and there is an early bird discount also of 10% till 30th November 2024. And if you want to know more details about this course, contact number is 8069405205. So you can go through this, scan the QR code, or call on this number. Now coming back to our editorial of the day. So I love this editorial because somebody for the first time, or must have, there has been previous articles also, but in the recent days have spoken about father of the constitution. We always talk about. What about mothers of the constitution? So feminist ideology in India's constitutional discourse. Let's understand. So the founding mothers, I should say, participation of women referred to as founding mothers in framing the Indian constitution has often been overlooked. We hardly get any books and hardly have seen any time in syllabus or any standard books of UPSC which ever talks about founding mothers of the constitution, or rather what they gave or what were their contribution to the constitution. So these eminent women of the Constituent Assembly played a critical role in shaping a constitution that aspired to guarantee equality, justice and dignity, or even as a systematic patriarchy posed significant challenges. So significant patriarchy was there, but the women or the founding mothers of the Constituent Assembly they gave a lot of contribution, and we'll study those contributions as we proceed in the lecture today. They focused on guaranteed equal justice and dignity for women in the constitution, for everyone. So gendered framing of the constitution. So these have been overlooked. So the term founding father is deemed patriarchal, discussing the significant contribution of women in Constituent Assembly. So if there can be founding fathers, there can also be founding mothers, which we need to talk about. So Achyut Chetan in Founding Mothers of the Indian Republic describe how women members infused feminist perspectives into the constitution through will, consent and dissent. These are such important words. Will, consent and dissent. When when a Supreme Court judge decision comes, like if we say 4:3, 5:1, so there is an important word which comes, dissent, that I did not agree with this decision. I am not saying it came from here, but I am trying to tell you the importance of the word dissent. Today the word, the consent, yes or no, they have become so important. So at that time, our founding mothers were talking about founding mothers of the constitution of will, consent and dissent. Then Keating's framing the post-colonial sexual contract highlights post-colonial sexual contract, contract, framing the post-colonial sexual contract. Now she talks about two important things. At one point of time, we were talking about public equality for women was constitutionally ensured. So this was being done in constitution. And at the same time, personal laws upheld patriarchal family structure to secure male consent to centralized rule. So at one point of time, at the same point of time, we were talking about female rights, equality, and at the same point of time, we were also talking about more patriarchal thought process. So this is kind of a, dichotomy. Okay, so while personal laws upheld patriarchal family structure, public equality for women was constitutionally ensured. So this is very ambiguous in nature. Now, social revolution and intersectionality. So contribution and challenges faced by founding mothers. Women members obviously aligned with whom? By Dr. B.R. Ambedkar sir, and challenged the Brahminical patriarchy and advocated for social justice. And in this important contribution was done by Amrit Kaur ma'am. She rejected male-defined societal norms and asserted Indian women would no longer submit to patriarchal standards. Even today we are fighting these patriarchal standards, but think about this was being done in Constituent Assembly at that point of time. So this also tells that women at that point of time, how advanced they were. I'm talking about late 1940s. Okay. Then founding mothers envisioned fundamental rights as a charter to dismantle patriarchal domination by private entities like family and religion. So they were telling that family and religion will try to subjugate the right of women, and that is why it is very important that we all have fundamental rights, including women. Obviously it was for all. So how fundamental rights are important, and that way women also at that point of time so much focused on that. Despite their advocacy, the Uniform Civil Code was relegated to directive principles. Women at that point of time continuously said that we need to have uniform UCC, Uniform Civil Code. Why it is important? But at that point of time, because certain section of the Constitution did not say that it has to be, done right now, it got relegated to directive principles. I hope that the Uniform Civil Code comes in the future. Now, obviously, there are a lot positives and negatives which we can talk about it. They ensured, however, that these principles were deemed fundamentally in governance of the country. Now, Hansa Mehta and Amrit Kaur argued against unbridled religious freedom, citing potential to curtail women's equality. So they say when you have unbridled, or rather when you have unhindered religious freedom, when the religious freedom increase, it basically subjugates the ideas, or it subjugates the thought process, or it subjugates the freedom of women. So in that way, they were against this, against the unbridled religious freedom. In dissent notes, again dissent notes, the Amrit Kaur opposed practices like child marriage. It continued for a long time. Sati and polygamy. And how are these three coming? Again, from there's a religious connotation to it, which were justified under the guise of religion, and that is why they were, Hansa Mehta and Amrit Kaur were against the unbridled religious freedoms. Secularism and equality, Begum Azad Rasool championed secularism as a core feature of the constitution. Hansa Mehta sought limits on religion. Why limits on religion? We have already discussed that. So unfulfilled promise of equality, initial optimism and later disappointment. So initially when the constitution came, we thought the women will get a lot of rights, but eventually they were disappointed. So Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay viewed constitution as a new dawn for women, guaranteeing equality and justice. But in 1974 report towards equality revealed that the promise of equality is only dreamy in nature. They had largely remained unfulfilled even after 2 decades. Even today, women are fighting for their rights. So if they are still fighting for their rights, and even today in India, there are still a lot of child marriages. Rather, laws by state government had also come. If I am correct, some laws came in Rajasthan government, which they were giving the right for the child marriages. Later, they were all withdrawn. And today also illegally a lot of child marriages happen. So again, what the constitution makers and the founding mothers were talking about, that problem is still there today, right? Systematic challenges in declining feminist constitution. So most importantly, today we are not able to produce feminist leaders. Just to tell you, when we talk about feminism, feminism means independence, and it is not only the independence or equality of rights for women, it is for male also, that both of them get the parity, both of them get the rights. So that is what feminism talks about. So male bashing is not feminism. I just want to make this clear. Male bashing is not. Fighting for your rights in the right manner and for your independence and freedom, that is what feminism, and that is exactly what it talks about. And even if you see women at that time, they were actually feminist in nature when they were talking about women and as society as a whole, with that why these rights are important. So today we are not producing feminist leaders or jurists to advance constitutional ideals of equality. If you see the tenure of CGI Chandrachud sir, it was, the collegium under him, it was being criticized that, not a female jurist could come to under his collegium to the Supreme Court. How many female judges are in the Supreme Court? How many women parliamentarians today do we have in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha? The numbers itself will give you the real value or the what realistically is happening today. Okay, and if you go in detail into this, then you will get to know what founding mothers were saying. They were absolutely correct. So women representation in power remains abysmally low. Yes, UCC is not there. A significant tool against gender injustice remains unimplemented, because once Uniform Civil Code comes, there the gender injustice which is happening, that can be curtailed. So constitutional failure, while women rights to equality and dignity were enshrined, but they were more, they were given in the constitution, more needs to be done. They were often ridden by men's right to religion, leading to gender-based discrimination and patriarchal thought process. So key takeaway, legacy of founding mothers' efforts ensured women voices were embedded in the constitution, but more needs to be done in terms of Uniform Civil Code and others. Modern challenges, UCC needs to be implemented. And in the question today, we have contribution of India's founding mothers to be constitutionally discourse remain underappreciated. Discuss the role in embedding feminist ideals in the constitution and challenge they faced in realizing gender justice. Do you think this is an important question for mains? It's a very important question. And will you get, today we are discussing this article. Can you get this information in Lakshmikant? No, you will not get. So, Lakshmikant, the book, you will get a lot of, facts and supporting answers or articles, and that will help you in your main stage also, and definitely in prelims also. But these kind of, for this kind of answer writing, you need to go through your newspaper reading, and that is why newspapers are important. Okay, in tidbits, again, important news is coming. So, Cabinet approves the next phase of Atal mission, that is AIM, that is Atal Innovation Mission. It is a flagship initiative. It promotes your innovation and entrepreneurship across the country. And the next phase, the budget which is given is 2,750 crore. And this would focus, directly contribute to creating better jobs, innovative products, and high impact services. So, factual information, Cabinet approves railway project worth 7,927 crore, and these projects would be affecting these states, that is Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Projects under the Ministry of Railways, and the projects are Jalgaon, Manmad, 4th line, basically different railway lines. The next is government announces 1,435 crore PAN 2.0 project. Obviously, this was also a news. So it will be, this PAN number would be a common business identifier for all digital system of government agencies. Again, they are trying to create a single window system for your PAN 2.0. That same card can be used at multiple places. Okay, so this is PAN 2.0 project. Then you have 6,000 crore scheme to help student access journals. So this is your One Nation, One SIP subscription project, a scheme, new centrally sponsored initiative of providing countrywide access to these scholarly journals and journal publication and research articles. So very good from the point of view of higher research and students. In the extra mile, you have on the stubble burning and satellite data, because what recent news has come that when the NASA satellite is not there, the Punjab farmers, they are burning a stubble because the new picture had come from the NASA satellite. And when the satellite goes, then this, what happens is that when satellite is over, they are not doing stubble burning, the Punjab farmers. When the satellite goes, they start doing stubble burning. So when the number came, it showed that the Punjab is not doing stubble burning. So, and when in reality, they were doing the same amount of stubble burning. So multiple reports and multiple satellite reports had come. Now, how true they are and what they are saying, you can go through this article or any other article to get the news. So this, when I'm talking about, India Today had taken interview of the Delhi Chief Minister, and she was being asked, and as usual, she was saying that, you know, if you want to believe these reports, what can I do, and what, so on and so forth. The Constitution still thrives, let it show India way. I would have taken this editorial, but again, this editorial had since it is being written by the parliamentarian of Congress, Shashi Tharoor sir, I really like sir in terms of what he has done. But again, it was a bit talking, positively about Congress and then the BJP. So it was difficult to sieve through it. But again, you can go through it if you want to understand it. And that is why I took the feminist article today, because it was much balanced in nature. You guys understood, right? Okay. And I hope you also understood. So thank you very much for today. I hope you liked session for today, and happy Constitutional Day to everyone. And I hope that you study about it. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Please like the session, share the session, and press the bell icon. And you'll get the link in the description of the PDF. And most importantly, please sign up for the scholarship test. You can go to that slide, and which, I think it would be around 10-15 minutes back, and scan that QR code. You can get scholarship for Insight IAS course till 100%. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.